right now. We just can't repeat any of the stories, Katie.
Okay, the pressure.
So welcome, everyone. My name's Paul, my wife Katie, and along with our little one Jasper, or Jasperoo as he's known, who's 8 now. We've been travelling Australia for 5.5 years. We've covered every state and territory, 180,000 kilometres. We've been off-road, on-road, everything in between, and 3 vans and a couple of vehicles. We're about to try and look for a new tow vehicle, actually. And we've had 2 broken ankles, broken ribs, split heads, 1 sort of vehicle rollover. Anyway, it's been a few things.
All the things.
But
Hospital visits.
Yeah, but we survived, and in fact, we feel like we've thrived. And so we've been invited down by the Melbourne Victorian Caravan Association to come and speak and say hello to everyone and share some of our journey and hopefully encourage or inspire you to know that, to be honest, if we could do it, then anyone could. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a total understatement. We were so novice. Like, we weren't campers. We'd never spent a night in a tent with each other before we had the crazy idea to buy a caravan and travel the country. So we honestly think, like, if we can do it, anybody can, and what we've learnt over that 5 years has been a real journey, and we love sharing that because when we were looking for inspiration to figure out whether we actually could do it, we found others who were out there doing it, and we felt confident knowing that, okay, well, if they can do it, surely we can. And so we hope that by us sharing our journey as well, we can give you that little bit of confidence too.
Yeah, fantastic. And what we actually did was, because Jasper was quite a long journey for us to create him, with the help of many scientists and doctors. But, 4 years of IVF later, and when he showed up, that was really what made us realise that we had to make a change to our life and our lifestyle if we wanted to be able to create these lifelong memories of our time with him and being a family. So that's how we kind of made the decision to jump in the deep end and throw away our careers. We had plenty of friends, work colleagues, even family that said, you're irresponsible. You guys don't have a clue about even camping. Like, why would you do this?
What are you thinking?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. So the reason why we share that is quite often I think that fear or doubts or, the good opinion of the ones that are nearest and dearest to you can dissuade you making a decision that could change your life, because we're just saying don't necessarily listen to the good opinion of others. If you really in your heart want to do something, then just go for it. Yeah.
Whatever it is, whether that's caravan or camping or, a change in your career, we would 100% say go for it. Yeah. So I guess 5.5 years later, 180,000 kilometres, we started on the bitumen. We've become way more adventurous. We love finding all the remote, amazing places around the country. If there's a dirt track, we love driving it, and we truly believe this is the most amazing backyard the world has, and to get out and experience it is so good in so many ways. We're better people. We've got a better family relationship, a better personal relationship. We like each other more. We're generally less stressed than we were. It's when you look up all of the positives on caravanning and camping, being out in nature, it's great for your mental health, it's great for your physical health. There's so many benefits of it, outside of actually getting to go to these beautiful places. But I guess today what we really want to talk about is kickstarting your adventure and what we did, coming from that place of not knowing anything, how did we actually get this journey started? So we've got, I guess, our top 5 things that we would say to anybody who's starting out. Know these top 5 things, and that'll definitely get you on your way. Before we do, though, if you missed us over in the RV Master Stage, we are giving away our #1 audiobook as a bit of a gift to everybody who comes and listens to us.
Just in case people want to...
QR code now. You're in front of the code, doll. You're just standing there waiting for photos. But please do scan the QR code. It'll take you to our website. You can pop your email address in there and get a free instant digital download to your device. It is Paul and I chatting. It's like an hour and a half long, I think, this audiobook, and we really go into detail on the areas for consideration if you are wanting to get remote or live more off-grid or travel more off-grid, and all the things that we've learnt in our time for doing that. So please jump on and get that.
Yeah, that's our number one audiobook. So, and it's yours for free. So love a freebie.
Awesome. I'll put that code back up at the end as well in case you missed it. Okay, most important piece of information. Do you want me to go back? Hang on. We got time.
Oh, technology.
We're the last speakers on this stage, I think, for today, so we can take as long as we want.
Take your time. Yeah, so the number one bit of advice that we'd give you right now would be, if you're in that dreaming stage in planning, would be to set a date. And the reason why we suggest that is because there's nothing like a deadline to get you into gear and get you making some action. For us, having our little miracle man there, Jasper, he's just turned 3 there.
This is us on day 1.
Yeah. Oh, well, then he's 2.
This is the day we rolled out of the driveway and towed the caravan that we purchased at the Brisbane Supershow in 2019. This is the very first day, the very first photo we took. And I love this photo because haven't we changed? Well, Paul and I have. But certainly Jasper has now.
A few happy hours.
Yeah. But Paul's right, there's nothing better than a deadline to get you motivated. Yeah. And this is our number one piece of advice because it's easy to get caught up in the planning. You know, we had event planning backgrounds in our corporate lives as well, so we're really good at laying out plans and really, I guess we reverse engineered this plan over a 2-year period of how we were going to pay off our debt, save money, buy vehicles, manage those repayments, you know, pack up our lives, quit our jobs, all of the things. We were good at putting that all down on paper, but unless you've got a solid, this is the day, no matter what happens, we are rolling out of the driveway on this day, then you can just extend it. Oh, we'll just, 6 months more, we need to save more money, and it can keep just pushing and pushing and pushing. So set a date. Yeah,
something that, again, we just share maybe because it could be a reason why you're stopping yourself from making a decision to actually get out there and travel is that with our IVF journey, we'd sold our unit and we were in a huge amount of debt. So that's why it took us 2 years. We took on extra jobs outside of our corporate events and things to save enough money to pay down our debt and then have enough vehicle repayments for 2 years. So that there honestly was, unfortunately, no silver spoon or any handouts. But it's just to say that we absolutely set our mind that is what we're doing. We went to Officeworks and we purchased a massive whiteboard and we stuck it in front of our TV. We turned the news off and that's all we did. We just focused on this plan that was, like you say, reverse engineered over 2 years. Okay, we need to do that. We need to take that extra work or do this in order to make this happen. Yeah.
Yeah, and by doing that too, it also made it less overwhelming. Like making a huge change, which for us at the time felt like the biggest thing we'd ever done. We were throwing away our careers. We had those good opinions of others telling us that we were being reckless and irresponsible. And then we had all of that financial pressure of, okay, well, we're not having that income come in. So it felt like this huge thing. And so doing a little bit each day towards the attainment of that goal took a lot of that overwhelm out of it. You don't have to solve that whole puzzle in one big chunk, eat an elephant one bite at a time. And that's exactly what we did over a 2-year period to get to that point where we rolled out the driveway.
Excellent.
Okay. Look at this photo. I love this photo as well. I'll probably say that about all the images that come up on the screen. But this is in lockdown. So we were in Tasmania, and this is the story that's not on our notes to talk about, but it's a good story. So we had just headed down to Tassie for my 40th birthday. I said that's where I want to be. And we'd only been over there a couple of weeks. We were camping at the Victorian Caravan Park. Has anybody toured around Tasmania?
Wow.
Isn't it amazing? Plan a trip to Tassie. It is so awesome. You will love it. And we were camping up next to this beautiful Tasmanian family. And it started to get a bit weird, as you know, with COVID lockdown, and everything started to shut down and the world started to get crazy. And they said to us, look, why don't you guys come and park up? We've got a really long driveway. This thing will blow over in a couple of weeks. You know, come and just have a space to stay while the caravan parks are closing. And so we did. 3.5 months later, we were still parked up in their driveway. We'd become wonderful friends. We'd shared copious amounts of bottles of wine together. It was wonderful, but it really introduced us very quickly to how amazing the community is, and that there's always somebody there willing to lend you a hand, to lend you a tool, to give you advice.
Just to finish this story, amazingly, the Meredith family said we could never homeschool our kid because that's how we school Jasper now. We could never buy a caravan.
Yeah, we couldn't live together that long in a small space. We just, how do you guys do it? They just couldn't get their head around it.
And then COVID hit, obviously, and then it extended, and then they had to homeschool. They had to live all together.
Live and work in each other's pockets.
And so they went and bought a van, and we did this amazing trip with them up through the centre of Australia and had an incredible time with them. So, you know, your perception can change pretty quickly when you're given a different challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is in their driveway where we called home for 3.5 months. Okay, where are we going next? Oh, look at that. It's a video. Gotta love that. Okay, we'll move on to the next point that we want to talk about, and that really is planning and preparation. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's video from the last one, Paul. There you go.
There you go.
Okay, planning and preparation. Look at this. This is a beautiful spot. This is at Point Gibbon on the Eyre Peninsula in South Australia. Anybody been down and toured down on the Eyre Peninsula?
This place is amazing. It's they actually have a little point you can't see out of the photo that has free Wi-Fi. It's $10 a night. There's bathroom facilities and showers, and we got there and we were like, we never want to leave. You know, it's one of those special spots.
We jagged the weather though. You know, the day we were leaving certainly didn't look like that, but it was beautiful for a good couple of days while we were there. Okay, planning and preparation. Always plan ahead. It wasn't raining when Noah built the ark. And we love this saying, you know, we talk about preparation a lot when we're talking on all different topics when it comes to this lifestyle, but mainly from a point of reducing the stress. I am such a big one on, you know, you're caravanning and camping. You just don't want to be stressed or dealing with stressful situations that a little bit of preparation could help alleviate. Oh, okay, I'll keep talking. You're deep in thought, Del.
She's always worried that I talk too much. So.
Well, that's true, actually. It's my turn. I've got the microphone now. This is us reversing. So we picked our Corrimal caravan up from Apollo in Brisbane, brand new. This is us reversing into Paul's parents' driveway the day we bought it home, hoping that we wouldn't scratch it on the way in. We were going to camp in their driveway for a couple of weeks, do a bit of a recce, figure out, you know, what do all the buttons do and how does it work and, you know, how are we going to live in this place? So we got some really good advice early on about packing the van, because it's so tempting when you go away, whether you're going on holidays or whether you're going to go for an extended trip. You want to take it all, right? But you can't, particularly if you're towing. Oh, that wind. So some advice that we got, it was actually from the gentleman Wayne who we did a towing course with. And again, we would say if you're new to towing, go and do a towing course. It's some of the best education that you'll get. It's probably the best few $100s that you'll spend to keep you safe and confident on the road. But Wayne said to us, everything that you load into the caravan, go down to the cheap shop, buy a couple of rolls of little sticky dots and put a sticky dot on it. Everything that goes into the caravan. And then when you use that item, take the sticky dot off. Now, it sounds really simple, but it's amazing in a month's time when you assess what's still got sticky dots on it. And then like in 6 months' time when you look around and you open your cupboards and there's all of these sticky dots. Or in a year, you know, it's a good way to go, okay, we don't need that. Clearly we're not using that. And it's a good way to manage your space.
My dot came off straight away, if anyone's wondering.
Of course it did, Dale. Yes, yes. You're very useful and you're multi-purpose. And that's another good point. products that have multiple uses. You have multiple uses still? Yep, you edit and drive. Okay. We spoke about doing a recce. It's a really great idea to do it. Again, if you've got new vehicles or you're new to this lifestyle, learning how all of your different systems work. You know, how much water do you consume if you are not plugged into mains? How quickly is that going to last? How does your power system work?
Yeah, it is one of the best takeaways from today is to do a recce. And it's a good idea to not do it in your driveway or at your home. Like, try and find either a family member or somewhere else where you have to restrict yourself on heading in to use their bathroom, or, you know, go and plug in. And if you really want to see your consumption rates on what your van's capable of, excellent way to do it. And then you can adjust before you leave, I guess. Another thing that we talk about is servicing and maintenance of your vehicles. And it's so important because we've made the mistake where we've got the servicing done like the day before we're leaving. Well, you know, stuff may still not be right. So you'd be better to get that done. You know, if you've got a date, give yourself 6 weeks prior to get this sort of thing all done and know when your next service is. And as you're travelling around, if you're going to travel around and do a lap or go up the East Coast or for an extended period of time, make sure that you're planning ahead for servicing and maintenance of your vehicles, because we would say generally be pretty fluid and don't plan a lot. But with those two things, we would, particularly once you get up to Darwin and you come anywhere down that west coast or even Darwin, I mean, Kununurra, there's a 3-month wait if you need anything done to your vehicle. That's a long time to be sitting in Kununurra, I can tell you.
Yeah.
But it's a magic spot, but maybe a week would do you there. So just being prepared for that.
Particularly if you're planning to travel in high season or you're chasing the sun like the majority of other travellers out on the road, you know, just being aware of finding the balance too, Paul, like you mentioned, between booking ahead. We get a lot of questions about that. You know, how far out in advance do we book our stays at caravan parks or campgrounds? We've found a really nice balance now where we'll only book ahead if we know it's super popular and we have to stay there, or it's high season and we don't want to miss out. Otherwise, you know, we've found that we can be a lot more fluid, and we would say try and find that balance, because there are places that old mate next door will say to you, you got to stop 2 hours up the road at this campground, it's magic. And you miss those places if you've got your schedule booked in. So finding the balance is great. Big rocks we talk about. Big rocks is picking those must-do experiences. I mean, Australia's amazing. There are so many incredible experiences that you can do, and, you know, some of the high-profile ones that we all hear about on social media or see other travellers doing. Yeah. We would say, if you are heading off on a lap or you're going for an extended period of time, pick your big rocks. They're the things that you're going to spend your money on. You want to do those experiences, and then plan everything else around those.
Yeah, those items generally are experiences that are going to cost you $1,000 a head. It could be, I mean, Katie had a bucket list to fly over Lake Eyre and got to do that recently when we came through Oodnadatta, which again, just we'd say put that on your bucket list. But I think it was $690 to do the flight.
It was. I didn't really think about the size of the plane. I probably should have considered that a little bit more before I added it to my bucket list. It was an amazing experience. Oh, but it was a very, very small plane. So, yeah. And the boys couldn't come with me because I got the last seat available. So I was up there on my own.
Oh, he had a margin of 55 kilos. He looked at me and goes, nah, mate. And then gets Kate, like, this is at the pub, because that's the only building
We're in
there.
Maree. We've totally gone off track, but that's okay. We're in Maree on the Oodnadatta track in the middle of nowhere.
And they weigh Kate in the middle of the pub. You know,
after dinner.
She was 48.5 kilos. I was like, yeah.
I said to him, you could have waited, like, when I walked in, you could have said, come on, Dale, I'll get you on the scales in the middle of the pub. But no, after dinner, he got me up there in front of all the boys at the bar with their schooners. Lovely.
And Kate had a wine, which is normally the total intake for Katie. And anyway, she goes, oh, the pilot's pretty good looking, isn't he? And I was like, ease up.
He was. He made up for the fact that you weren't there, Dale. Anyway, moving on. One last thing to say when we're talking about planning and preparation is always carry cash. We're such a cashless society these days, and it's a lesson that you and I learn over and over again. So learn from our mistakes. Always have a stash of cash. We have too many funny stories to tell about being somewhere and the FPOS is down.
Yeah, so even out at Marla, coming up the centre, out in the Stewart Highway there, which is before you kind of get to turn off towards the Rock, towards Uluru, or go up to Kings Canyon or Alice Springs, there's a spot there that everyone kind of needs to stop at. It's the start or finish of the Oodnadatta as well, at the other end. Maree, where we just talked about, as at the very other end. And they had no FPOS, so there's like, I don't know, it was a 50 or 60 vanners out there just hanging out waiting for the FPOS machine to work so they could get fuel.
So you can get fuel. You know, you kind of stopped if you can't use it. We've also been stuck in Tassie.
Oh, that was good.
Right in the middle of Tassie at
Derwent Bridge.
Thank you, Derwent Bridge, you know, in the thick of the forest. We pulled up at the Derwent Bridge Hotel. This was when we were brand new. You can camp out the front of the Derwent Bridge Hotel. Awesome spot.
Great.
Go in and have a meal, you know, support the pub. So we go in, oh, we're really sorry, our FPOS is down, it's cash only tonight. We had very limited food because we'd been coming back from the west coast of Tassie on our way to Hobart to do our food shop. We had to eat at the pub. So Paul and I are in the car, under the seats, in the glove box, picking up the mats, scrambling, you know, down the sides of the seats. What did we come up with?
I think we had $13. And so
That's it.
And Jasper's like the same order every time we go anywhere. Chips. You know, your kid, that's all they want is chips. So the chips were $7 and the glass of wine was $6.
Yeah. So Jasper ate a bowl of chips and Paul and I shared a glass of wine for dinner that night because we didn't have a stash of cash. So always have cash.
Kate's like, you just took a gulp. It was just a sip.
Yeah, you're not a very fair sharer, I have to say. Anyway, even some national parks, which is hard to believe these days, but we've been to plenty of national parks where you've still got to put your money in the donation box when you pull in. And we've been like putting 20-cent pieces in to pay for our national park pass because we haven't had a quick $10 note. So learn from our mistakes.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on. Communications.
This time, Katie, we spoke about communications on the RV Masterclass, so we'll sort of flip it so we don't miss stuff here. But communication, the art of misunderstanding each other despite one's best efforts to the contrary.
That's like just marriage, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
And so a few things that we would recommend. The number one thing would be a UHF radio. And I know you guys were in our first talk, but it truly is the one bit of kit that we did not even know that we should have it with us. And for 2 years, we travelled around the country without one. And now we look back on that time and we think, that's just crazy, you know. It's such an essential piece of kit, but from a safety point of view, but just as far as being able to have something to communicate with at camp. There's obviously dedicated emergency channels, there's dedicated highway channel, there's dedicated caravan convoy, camp convoy channels, there's chatter channels. Getting your kids, if you've got kids or you're travelling with grandkids, to know how to use it and teach them. You know, we know if, heaven forbid, we were in an accident, that Jasper could grab that and he'd get attention for us, no worries at all. Also, he, at camp, will have a little 2-watt one and he'll say, Mum, you know, is dinner ready? You know, and yell out. But we made sure that he knows exactly how to use that.
Yeah, really important, a must-have.
And for the truckies as well, you know, for particularly out on those, the Stewart Highway up to Darwin, you know, 53.5 metre road trains, and...
Would you say it's the equivalent of an Olympic-sized swimming pool?
Yeah, and almost as heavy, right? So being able to communicate and clearly give your intention to the truckie is absolutely will save any problem at all. We have a Safety Dave reverse camera. There's plenty of cameras out there. This is awesome. I can see now 300-400 metres behind me. When he's approaching, I just get on the radio, say, "G'day, mate. Tow on the zone van, let me know when you want to come around." And then as soon as he gets a bit closer, he'll say to me, okay, I'm going to stick my head out now, and around he'll come. I maintain my line and my speed. As soon as he's beside me, I just let off the accelerator just slightly, and he'll just zip past. So that's really the best advice. And then once he comes back in, have a great day. Your communication's been clear. It's polite. You know, they're doing a job. So I think just really use that UHF radio.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, Paul, in conjunction with that reversing camera, for when you are reversing into camp, they're two things that will keep the communication between the driver and the passenger or the person who's out helping direct you into camp a lot smoother as well. And we'll talk about some of our communication for that too. A couple of other devices that we would say don't leave home without is a personal locator beacon. We run a little Garmin InReach Mini. There's GME PLBs as well that are great Australian-made products. It's a device you hope you will never have to use, but again, if you are somewhere remote, you don't have mobile phone service, and there's plenty of places. Like, we've been amazed at the amount of places there are fairly close to the East Coast where you can go, and Telstra and Optus, you know, our main carriers, don't have any signal there. So to have a little beacon that you can take with you, particularly if you love hiking, we'll throw it in the backpack as well, is a great peace of mind.
This is out on the Morini Loop. Anyone been out there? It's also known as the Caravan Killer. And this was, that's not there. That's actually before that, I think. Yeah. No, that's when Kate said, oh, I'm going to do it. I'm going to tow the Morini Loop. And so I was like, all right, here we go.
Be fair, tell the whole story. You gave me a glass of wine at dinner and you said you should tow the Morini Loop. And I'd had a glass of wine and I said, sure, yes, I'll do it. And then the next day when we were leaving, these people pulled in beside us and said, oh, you know, it's great to meet you guys. We've just come off the Morini Loop. We've got all this stuff broken on our caravan. It was hideous. It was the worst road we've ever driven. And I'm just looking at Paul like, oh, my gosh. Okay. Anyway, it was an adventure and it's amazing country out there.
And just a word of advice, you get your tyre pressures right and you will not have a problem on the Morini Loop. I can tell you that they had not dropped any pressure. I said, what pressure did you run? He goes, oh, I didn't really want to change them. And their fridge was out, the shower door had broken, cupboards were everywhere. They had lots of problems with their van. But that first line of defence, get those tyre pressures right down, like, 25 PSI.
Absolutely, and I loved it. It was amazing and so satisfying to get to the end and know that I'd towed the whole way. Okay, Starlink is an absolute game changer when it comes to communications for anybody who needs to work on the road, who's schooling on the road, who loves watching, you know, your streaming, your Netflix, whatever, or staying in touch with friends and family. We don't know how we live without this for the first few years, and the technology is just getting better and better and better. We've just actually upgraded to the Starlink Mini, which means the dish is half the size of the big one you saw on the screen. The modem is built in. It's just much more accessible. It can run off 12 volt as well. And not only for connectivity to keep in touch with people or, you know, watch our favourite movies online, but also for safety and security. We've used Starlink to get us out of more than one pickle.
Yeah, definitely. We mentioned earlier that the peace of mind part of this is really worth its value as well. We had broken down, the vehicle had gone into limp mode, so we weren't completely in trouble, but once your vehicle goes into limp mode, anyone had that happen? You get to a certain point, you can't accelerate past it, so when you're coming up to a hill or an overpass and you can only get that vehicle to 40 kilometres an hour or 60, and as it slows down, it just keeps slowing down. It's really dangerous, especially if you're towing a 3.5-ton van. And so anyway, we pulled over, put the Starlink up, was able to FaceTime a mechanic, and he just said, yeah, reset this with the battery, give it a minute. He said that should get you another 40 kilometres. Then you'll probably have to reset it again, which is what happened. I did this 3 times and got back to the Sandgate up there north of Brisbane, and he was able to fix it. It was an injector driver and something else, and $3,000 later or something stupid. But but there you go. But I didn't have a clue. I'm not mechanically minded, but I was able to...
No, you're awesome at driving and editing and lots of other stuff, Dale, but not mechanical.
But yeah, amazing that he's able to help us. We've used it for many more things other than streaming sports or Netflix, that's for sure.
Now, a couple of other things we did mention in our last chat, but on communication between your co-pilots, when you are out there travelling, is a couple of really great gems that we want to share with you before we wrap up communications. And one is the acronym for GOAL, which is Get Out and Look. And this applies to the driver. And we do this every time now, even after 180,000 kilometres, 5.5 years, and I don't know how many thousands of times we've reversed into a campground together. Paul will get out regardless. Wouldn't matter whether we're coming into a jam-packed caravan park or we're out in the middle of Central Australia where there's nobody else. He'll hop out of the car, he'll walk to the back of the van, and he'll have a look. He gets a really good lay of the land. What are we reversing into? Which way does he want the caravan to face? And he also draws a little L on the ground for me and says, just tell me when the back of the van hits that mark. It makes it so easy. That wind is insane. It makes it so easy, and it makes it less stressful, and it means that we're on the same page, because you can be Mars and Venus, men and women. We have different perspectives on a lot of things.
Yep.
So it's a good one to remember.
And on that, anyone been watching the show for a while? Yeah, thank you. The one time that we didn't have the van on, fortunately, but I didn't get out and look, and I reversed the car and rolled the vehicle. And it was an incredibly scary time, even though it wasn't that big a deal in the end. But yeah, I just can't say enough. Get out and look. You just be so thankful you did.
Yeah, that's right, for the 30 seconds it takes. The other one is we talk passenger side and driver side whenever we're referring to manoeuvring the vehicle, because I don't understand what left hand down means, and I have no idea what the caravan's going to do if I say to Paul left hand down. We should do that so I can actually understand what it does.
Well, it depends where you're standing too.
Exactly. With passenger side and driver side, if I'm on the outside of the vehicle, it doesn't matter if I'm at the back of the caravan or up in front of the Toyota. I'm on the phone or the UHF to Paul. I can say to him, push the back of the caravan to the driver's side or the passenger side. I just did the opposite. That's weird. But he knows exactly what that means. I mean, you just can't confuse that. So again, if you want to pull up into camp without any stress, without any fighting or shouting or being the afternoon entertainment, try the passenger side, driver's side.
Occasionally Katie will go, coming up on your passenger side, darling. She never said that. I wish she
never.
said.
You say that to me. In fact, Jasper started saying that. I'm like, oh, no. You can't say that in public. Yeah. I'm just coming up on your passenger side, Bob. I'm like, mate, that's conversation for in the caravan.
He's so funny because, he's got only child syndrome. He's 8 and...
thinks he's an adult.
Yeah, he has conversation. I'm like, you can't say that. And he goes, you said it to Mum.
Yeah. Yes, anyway, we probably don't need to share any more of the tips we say to each other. Okay, where are we at? Safety and security. I love this quote too. I always think of you and your family with this quote, Paul. Paul's one of 7 children. So, and all in a very short amount of time, 5 boys and a girl on each end. So I'm sure there was a few accidents in his family.
Yeah, I think my dad, when I was younger, he said accidents in the... Oh, no, I'm not going to say it. It's terrible. It's actually, I wish I hadn't mentioned it.
Okay, I'm glad you really paused and took a moment there. It's late in the day, so anyway. Okay, so we've spoken a little bit about vehicle maintenance on the preparation side of things. And again, we would say anything that you can do to be more prepared before you're out there is definitely worth doing to save the stress.
This was really cool. These guys let me film and then showed me how to pack bearings to take them on the Oodnadatta track, because they said to me, one of the worst things that you could experience is trying to pack bearings out on the Oodnadatta, like out in the dust and dirt. Like, so, yeah, they did the whole episode is on how to actually do this properly and then pack them. And, yeah, really cool. So there's plenty of content on our website around this sort of stuff too, and what to pack, plan B, box. When you're going remote, we would really highly recommend that you speak to your mechanic about your model vehicle and potentially what he knows goes wrong regularly, or some spares or things like that. Now we're about to do a trek. It's season 10 for our show, both on telly and on YouTube, where we're going from the Great Ocean Road all the way up the east coast of Australia over the next 6 months. And so I've just dropped about 50 kilos of Plan B box at the storage shed because I said to Kate, like, honestly, within 2 hours I'm anywhere, of someone being able to help sort us out. So you can choose when you need to take this sort of stuff and when you don't, because obviously weights are a huge part of your travel and your safety. Yeah.
That's actually a really good point, Paul. When we started, we thought, we need to go out and buy all of these tools and toolkit and things that we had no idea how to use. And, you kind of get product envy when you pull up at camp and you see these people pull out and they've got like this whole workshop in the back of their canopy and you think, maybe we need that. We've had so many different iterations of what we carry over that 5 years to now. I think we're both agreed we would say carry less, like...
If you can, yeah.
If you can.
Less is definitely better.
It is, and there's always someone, whether it's at camp or that you can phone or within close range that's probably got what you need and will borrow it.
Recovery gear, though, I definitely always take recovery gear. If you've got any intention of doing any sort of four-wheel driving, and particularly, we live on the world's largest island, so beach accessibility's second to none, really, as far as the world goes. And so if you've got that gear, then the etiquette would be that you should have your own recovery gear. So, yeah, make sure you've at least got the minimal.
Absolutely. Great advice. Roles and responsibilities is another big one we love talking about. And again, this is something we did really early on. It just sort of happened naturally for us, but we're big advocates for assigning different roles. So obviously Paul is our main driver, but when it comes to hitching and unhitching, setting up camp, packing down camp, we each have our own roles. We know each other's roles and we know who's responsible for what. So if something gets missed, we can say, well, you didn't do your job very well, did you? But we stick to those roles because then it avoids any confusion on has that been done, has that not been done. You know yourselves, if you're out there camping, people love to come and have a chat with you when you're hitching up. You might have been camped beside them for 2 weeks and then they choose their moment to come and have a yarn with you while you're hitching up ready to go. And so it's in those moments where you're distracted a little bit, your focus isn't on doing what you need to be doing 100%, that things can get missed. So having clear roles is really important.
Absolutely. There's a lot of footage here of sort of the not so good things.
All your broken bone stuff.
Yeah, there's been plenty. Some have involved BWS moments and some haven't. Little Jasper, he split his head 3 times and a couple of those were incredibly remote places. Being prepared with the right first aid gear. The first time we just had gaff tape, we gaffed his head. It's terrible, but we had a first aid kit. It was back at camp, so just being aware of these sort of things. Woke up one morning there up at near Yapoon and there's this massive fire that some drunk guys apparently are having a party and they set a fire. Anyway, it was like total fire ban. There was already massive fires all up and down the East Coast. And this thing just took over. And we just had no idea what to do. We didn't know, do you hitch up? We didn't have a grab bag. We didn't have an evacuation plan. It was sort of one road in, one road out. What do you do? So now we're so well prepared for that. We just have our separate conversation. We know exactly what we're going to do. We have an evacuation plan. We have a grab bag that has the passports and a couple of other things in it, some purification tablets and whatever. All of those sort of lists and hitch lists.
Checklists, and it's all the stuff that you don't know if you don't know. And starting out, you don't know a lot. Well, we certainly didn't because of how novice we were. But what we've compiled, I guess, through our experiences and learnings over the years are all of these little tools that can just make life easier, take the stress out of it. Or if you find yourself in a stressful situation, like those fires at Rocky for us, waking up in the middle of the night to the smell of smoke and embers falling onto the awning, we were like, what do we do? Do we try and hitch up and take the van with us? We're in a jam-packed caravan park. Is everybody going to get out? Do we just leave the van and try and grab our important things? We just didn't have any idea of what to do in a situation like that. And that really set us on this path of, Okay, well, if we don't know it, there's probably plenty of other people out there that don't know it. So how do we make that better? We actually wrote our very first ebook that you can find on our website. We're not here to talk about that. In fact, I think it's in the digital guide that the show has created as well. But that is such a great resource for anybody starting out. It's called our Ultimate Travel Australia Guide, our Road Trip Ready Guide, and that is full of lots of customisable templates as well that we were using, that we thought, God, these would be helpful if we put all of this information in one place. So if you are starting out, we definitely recommend have a look at that one as well. Okay, education, probably one of the most important things to talk about, Paulie.
Definitely. Education is a progressive discovery of your own ignorance. Another good one from my dad. But yeah, the education has been a huge thing for us, and we found a real niche with our content as well, where we decided really early on, because we were so green, you know, if we're going to create content, does it add value? Can it add value? Can we add value? Because we just found that was such a good blend of being able to, you know, learn ourselves and get inspired from watching other people. And so you'll find that all the way through our content.
Oh, this is just screenshots from that ebook that I was talking about, our Ultimate Road Trip Ready Guide. So on the education, obviously there's some really obvious ones. If you are towing, go and do a towing course. You know, that was something that we did before we'd even picked our new caravan up from the lot 5 years ago. We went and did a towing course, and we did it together. And even though I knew that Paul would be driving 95% of the time, we went and did it together, and lo and behold, 3 months later he broke his ankle and I was in the driver's seat. But I had a little bit of confidence, and I also had somebody who was an actual expert and not my spouse telling me the right way to do it, which really made a difference for both of us, didn't it?
It really did, and we did document that on YouTube and everything else.
There's Wayne there. That's who we did our towing course with.
When we got out to Winton and I took my moon boot off, I actually broke my ankle a second time. And it's just crazy.
Can't take him anywhere.
But
Hopeless.
I didn't put that on YouTube or anything or on telly because I just felt like such an idiot, you know. But anyways, yeah, so stuff happens. It's quite amazing. We met a lady out at Kununurra, really sort of tragic situation. Her husband had a massive heart attack and they medevaced him out. And she had to tow her van from there back to Adelaide, and she'd never towed anything in her life. And I was just like, this is crap.
She was retired, you know.
Yeah, you know, she's in her sort of early 70s and now she's trying to deal with all of this and her husband and, you know, is he going to be okay? And then tow this van back, and her family member, she couldn't get anyone up there to help her. And
you just don't want to find yourself in a situation like that. So just to have those skills and that little bit of confidence makes a big difference. A first aid course is high up there on the list. We would say everybody who's out there travelling Australia, whether you're a weekend warrior or going full-time like us, should learn, and do it with your kids as well. If you've got kids. We recently did our first aid courses. We were travelling with some friends of ours, and he's a first aid trainer, and Jasper said, can I do it with you guys? He was so interested, and it was awesome.
We thought, I don't know if this is, you know, because some of it can be confronting when you're doing CPR and learning that, and you know, and but the instructor was like, no, definitely get him in, and he was such a good student. He really, he's taken it all in. You know, it's amazing.
This is footage from when we went up to the Cape. When? Not last year. What year are we in? Not last year, the year before.
A year and a bit ago.
Goodness me. I was petrified about going to the Cape. I mean, you punch Cape York into YouTube and you just see all of this stuff, and it's any wonder that, you know, anybody comes back alive from what you see on YouTube. I was so worried about it. Paul actually broke his ribs falling out of the caravan the day before we left Mossman to go up the Cape, and I thought, you beauty, this is our excuse to not go up the Cape. We can just say he's got broken ribs. Lo and behold, he towed on 500 kilometres of corrugations with his broken ribs. Where am I going with this? We did a tag along, and this is another great thing to do. You know, if there's places that you want to get to, but perhaps you're not as confident to go and do it on your own, we did a tag along with a mate of ours, Tony, who runs Australian 4x4 Treks. It was the best experience we could have done. We did it with a bunch of other people who felt the same as us. They were nervous too. And at the end of the day, we were all high-fiving each other, because we'd all achieved this great thing together safely, safety in numbers, and having an expert guide there to help you and give you that education as you're actually rolling down the road or over the corrugations was priceless, wasn't it?
That's Jardine River ferry crossing. You can see there it's probably about maybe 45, 50 metres. It's the dearest ferry in the world. Like, really is. I think it's actually just gone up. It's now it's $192.50 when we went, but now it's $211. So as far as distance, it's the most expensive ferry in the world. But interesting, when I went into the lady and I said, "Oh, is that one way or return?" And she goes, "Either." It's like, good answer.
Yep. Yeah, it depends how long you want to stay up the Cape, I guess. A 4x4 course, again, great piece of education to do. Yeah, here's Tony. Here's our mate who we did the Cape York tag-along with, and he does tag-alongs all around the country, which he's trying to get us to go and do the Simpson with him.
Something that's coming up. It's 3 years in the making. Tony's part of it, but we've gathered 10 experts from the industry, from Tony, who does full drive instruction and tag-alongs, self-recovery, sand driving masterclass, weights and towing masterclass, pet responsibility, keeping kids safe at camp, a full comprehensive first aid. There's like 70 or 80 videos that we've been edited into 10 hours of content, all at your fingertips, and it's called RV First Aid, and that's launching in a couple of months. So if you keep on top of our socials, it is amazing. The value this will add to your travels for very minimal costs, we think will be priceless. So we're excited working with some of the industry leaders to be able to deliver that. But it's been a few years in the making, so it should be good.
Yeah, it's been a great project. We're proud of that. Knowing your acronyms as well, what do they all mean? How do they relate to your vehicles, your tow rig, your van that you're pulling along, going and getting yourself weighed? These are all great pieces of education that you can do in your preparation and your planning before you hit the road. We do have a free downloadable on our website, thanks to our mates at Weight Check up there in Queensland, of what those acronyms actually all mean, and what are the compliance areas that you need to be aware of when it comes to your tow vehicle and your caravan as well. Oh, look at that. We timed that perfectly. Gosh, how good are we? This is just a little snapshot of the digital ebooks and guides that we have on our website, if you are interested in any of those, and a bunch of free stuff as well. So please do get on there and take advantage of all of the free resources. If you're planning travels to Tasmania, we've got some beautiful free Tassie downloadables as well as our ebook bundle and Tassie, because we just think as far as a destination for caravan and camping goes, it's really incredible.
Yeah, they're so well set up in Tassie. And I think it's a good point. I mean, Kate does most of the work, or she does all the work, actually.
Thank you.
On the ebooks. So it's a labour of love. But it is actually how we fund most of our travels now. It's been really successful for us, but a really amazing way that people have supported us back over the years. But as you say, there is so much free stuff on there. So, hey, thank you. Safe travels.
Please do jump on and grab yourself a copy of that audiobook. If you missed that at the start of our presentation, we are gifting you our #1 audiobook. It's our Off-Road Off-Grid audiobook. We talk about the 7 main areas for consideration if you are wanting to travel more remotely or spend time off-grid around Australia, and we would encourage you to do so because there's so many incredible places. You can just scan our QR code and it'll take you to our website, pop your email in, and you'll get that instant download to your phone. Feel free to share it on your devices. Maybe don't bootleg it with others, but share it across all of your devices as well, and do enjoy that. It's a good one to put on in the car if you are doing kilometres.
Yeah, it's a good point. We have a podcast too, which is called Travel Australia Podcast. We've delivered a podcast pretty well every week for the last 5.5 years.
We love talking. Can you tell that? We stand up here all day and talk. So we love the podcast because we're recording it at like 5:30 in the morning. Normally he's still in our pajamas with a cup of coffee and Jasper's still asleep. So we can be a bit more adult on our podcast as well, can't we?
In our pajamas. But it's quite an amazing resource as well, and it's a great one for those travel days, and jump on and it's free, which is good.
Awesome. I think that's it. That's us. We're happy to take any questions too. If you guys have got questions or things we didn't talk about specific to getting started, please do give us a shout. Or
any questions now? Anyone? Hello.
What have we got on our dashboard?
Oh, yeah, okay, good question. Yeah, so...
Great question.
There's a few things there. There's starting at the top and working down, so there's the Safety Dave reverse camera. And what that means is that on our van there's actually two cameras. One is a short throw and one is a long throw. The short throw basically is just a camera angled down and you can see the back bumper and probably a metre of the back of the van. And then the other one is a long throw, and they both feed into your rear vision mirror. But the rear vision mirror is basically replaced with a wider rear vision mirror that is like a little mini TV screen, which is very cool. And then as we come down, there's two camera mounts. One is a camera that faces out and primarily for recording those time lapses as we're travelling. And the other one is facing in, so we do piece to cameras in the car. And Jasper.
Like that one that you may have seen at the very start of our presentation, that was the blooper reel from when we were doing our Channel 7. That was the in-facing car. We sat, I'm just cutting you off, we sat in that car. I have to tell you this quick story because it was really funny. We're in South Australia filming for our Channel 7 series. We're at a friend's place in Mount Gambier. They said to us, have you guys ever heard of muntries? Has anybody ever heard of the muntry? It's like a native cranberry. It only grows in a really small part of South Australia and Victoria.
And a little bit of Victoria as well, in the sand dunes.
Really cold climate.
Known as an emu apple.
That's right. Yeah. Indigenously known as an emu. They're like, come on, we'll go and show you. So we go up. It's the middle of the day. It's a really beautiful, warm, hot day in Mount Gambier. We're picking these muntries. They've got a really unique flavour to them. Like, oh, this is really nice, lovely, lovely. Anyway, we said, okay, we've got to do a piece to camera for this show. We'll be 15 minutes and then we'll be back to film. We hop in the car. It's hot. Got to turn the air conditioning off so that you can actually hear the audio nice and clear. Well, I swear the muntries must have had some sort of fermentation effect in the hot sun because it was like we'd been drinking. We were slurring our words. We were like weird. High schoolers who couldn't stop giggling. We sat in that car for over an hour, turning the aircon on, cooling down, turning it off. Okay, but let's be serious. Let's do it again. Laughing.
Jasper was the only coherent one.
Poor Jasper. At the end, his sister was, do you want me to drive home? Like, anyway, that was with the forward-facing camera.
So there's a couple of cameras there, and then you come down, and we have a little dash organiser. Thanks to one of our partners. We haven't really mentioned any partners, but MSA, they do amazing in-car sort of simple storage solutions. And that just has really...
That's a great little nifty thing. It just sort of sits pens. On the... What's that? The carpet over our dash, and it just sort of velcros onto that, but it's got like all of these tiny pockets in it. So Paul puts his glasses in it. We've got, pens and all your quick grab things just right there.
Just your easy access stuff. And then coming across from that too, in front of the driver, there's a tiny little, it's got a little solar panel on it, but it's a little display screen, and on that is a tyre pressure monitoring system. So if you're going to do anything off-road at all, I'd highly, highly recommend that you get one of these because it will prevent you potentially blowing a tyre or having an accident because it can monitor temperature and tyre pressure. And they're the two things that you really want to get a warning on because it happens really quickly. When we've had two major tyre blowouts, and this last one was huge. and it's quite scary.
It's like
when
an
it happens.
explosion when we were towing up the Stewart Highway.
In those instances, not much that you can do because it happens instantly. But if I'd
It's on
got
the screen, I think.
if I'd got a warning that the tyre temperature had gone up, then I would have had an opportunity to slow down, see what's going on. Maybe I've left too much pressure out the tyre, sidewalls were a bit too hot or something. Or if the tyre pressure is going down from a leak, then you can get that, so you set the margins. So that's what that is.
We run a product from iCheck, TPMS. It's excellent.
I think most families out there that are online will have run this because it's such a good Aussie product again.
Yeah, it's
really
great.
Yeah.
And it's saved us a number of times. Actually, we came across the Plenty Highway in Central Australia from, Gemtree, just north of Alice Springs, all the way across the Plenty, crossing the Queensland border and following that Tropic of Capricorn in the middle of nowhere. I think we passed one other vehicle on the 3 days that it took us to do the Plenty Highway gravel section, dirt road. And our tyre pressure system went off because, again, that back passenger side tyre, the temperature got so high that it sounded the alarm, and we pulled off and just had to wait a while for it to cool down. So
I asked one of the guys who worked in building the Stewart Highway, and now he works, I can't remember the Transport Department for South Australia, whatever they're called. And he said the majority of accidents and things that they see all happen on that rear left-hand wheel. And I said to him, why? And he said, it's just the way, if I say right the camphor of the road, and quite often your fridges and your stuff, people seem to load up that side a little bit more. It just means the weight distributes a little bit more on that side. It's a little bit heavier. And then there's also, as you're going along that Stewart Highway, the road base will be about that much from the edge, and it's just sharp. So as your vehicle kind of just, sometimes you just, come in and off, it'll hit that hard edge and it might just get a little nick, and then that might happen again, and then it might just get too hot on the sidewall and that little nick just explodes, which is what they think happened to us out there at Marla. So it's interesting, but that tyre pressure monitor is amazing. We also have from ARB, again, we don't work with ARB, but they have a system called Lynx. It's literally like an iPhone that sits on your dash, but pretty well everything from the lighting to the fridge to battery management system all talks through that. It's incredible.
Yeah, even the GPS speedometer, we have that on that Lynx system.
I had a couple of problems with it, but touch wood, it's been perfect for the last 18 months.
Actually, it's a good point. Any of the gear or the partners that we do work with, and we've tried and tested heaps of stuff, but really the stuff that we love and use, we'll go to that manufacturer or that product partner and say, we'd love to partner with you because it's awesome. We've been living it, we've been using it, we've been loving it. We genuinely want to shout out about it. You can find it on our website. The majority of them give a discount to you guys as well. So it is an affiliate discount. We get a little kickback for sharing the love. You guys get a great discount from it. But genuinely, everything that we use in our day-to-day is only the stuff that we promote, because we've tried and tested plenty, haven't we?
Yeah, we get asked every week to have a new affiliate partner. So our version of things is that we'll try it, and if it works for us, then great, and if it doesn't, then we don't ever talk about it. So it's the same actually with caravan parks or campgrounds. I mean, when we set off, everyone calls us the feel goods, and when we check in somewhere, they're like, Paul and Katie feel good. And it isn't our surname, but that's sort of what's happened. But the reason why we did that was because we were realising that we were just feeling overwhelmed with our workload, quite anxious with the amount of that, but also inundated with bad news. And we just went, what's this? Let's just try and do feel-good content. And that's how that name came about. And, and we found a niche there, I think, which is good, yeah.
You've got to feel good when you're camping. Any other questions? Yes.
I've got a couple.
Just one, mate. No, I'm kidding.
Recently, I watched your show on Channel 31.
Thank you.
And you got Cook.
Yes.
What was it? And the other question is, I've only gone on Australia only month's time. I must be tired. My wife's still working. She'll leave working only month's time. You said the best thing you do is plan your trip.
What's the ideal amount to travel? Yeah, okay, great question. So getting back to your first question, yes, recently we were up in Darwin. Paul had a health scare, which we did have on our show. And thank you for watching us on Channel 31. We love that we can broadcast here in Melbourne and Geelong.
Channel 31's been a huge success for us as far as exposure. Yeah, it's amazing. We the CEO of the network wrote to us a couple of weeks ago and said, "You guys are now the number 6th watch show." I was like, "Oh, we're number 6." I don't know what that means, but anyway, we're like, "Woo!" But it's amazing. We hear from so many people that watch us on Channel 31, Channel 44 in Adelaide, and now Sky TV in New Zealand as of a couple of weeks ago too. So, mate, I was in Darwin, and I had a few days of feeling not myself. We were burning the candle a bit. We took on some extra work for content for the National Caravan Association, so I'm going to blame them. And the editing, like even just in our normal content, is about 25 hours a week. Well, this had pushed it out to like 40 or something, plus the filming, plus driving, plus all the rest of it, and plus a few too many wines at night, to be honest. And so what happened, I had a few days not feeling well and then ended up in Darwin Hospital, and I've just finished my last heart test. They thought I had a mini stroke. I'm trying to get them to take that off my licence at the moment because apparently it wasn't that, but they can't figure it out. I lost vision in my right eye.
A medical marvel. He's had all of these tests on. They can't find anything wrong with him. So I think he was just putting it on for a few days out, actually.
Look, the bottom line was 3 things. Less happy hours, more exercise, meaning I sit for long periods of time, so just don't be so stationary. And the third one was, so there was exercise. Oh, mindfulness. We used to call it meditation.
Glad he was paying attention.
It was mindfulness, so which is good. So we've started to incorporate more of that into our life and said no to more jobs than yes now, and it's taken it.
Find a little bit better balance.
Yeah.
We do operate our business from the road too, so it's easy to have the lines really blurred between what's actually our life out of our business. It's hard, but it's the best job in the world.
What was amazing was just like, I don't know, there was 1,000 messages from blokes that wrote in to say, "Oh, thanks, mate, I need to do something. I haven't put my health as a priority," or whatever. Even when we rolled the vehicle, the amount of guys that got in touch and just went, "Yeah, shit, mate, like I feel for you," It's been amazing, that community, and putting yourself out there's always a challenge, obviously, and being vulnerable in front of other people is a bit of a challenge, but that's been a really incredible thing for us and for me personally. But one thing I did get us to do from a number of viewers was go and do a calcium score. And I lost a mate, actually, a couple of years ago, who it wasn't until after he died that they said, had he done a calcium score, he would have been probably still with us. They could have, done something. They now refer to it as the Shane Warne test. You probably know that. And post Shane's death, he's saved hundreds of lives from that test. So anyway, for those blokes and ladies as well, but go and get a calcium score if you've got any kind of question around your heart health. It's amazing. Yeah. Anyway.
Great. And also on the travel, so that kind of ties in because we've always done, our life's on the road, so we've always done, 300-400 kilometre days has never really been a big drive day for us. We've done plenty more than that as well. We just got to get to the next place or our filming schedule. But off the back of Paul's advice from the doctors up there, we've slowed down as well. So we would say a couple of hours, that's a great drive day. Pull up somewhere nice. You don't have to push it. Don't drive past 4 p.m.
Definitely don't drive past.
Be in camp well and truly. If you could get to camp by lunchtime and have lunch in camp and then have the whole afternoon, that is just the ideal travel day. We're hopeless. We have this thing called caravan time. We'll be like, right, tomorrow morning we're rolling out 8 a.m. We're going to be at camp by midday. 10:30 comes, we're still at camp, scrambling, we've got to hitch up, so we joke and say easily add an hour on to the time that we say we're going to leave. But honestly, a couple of 100 kilometres, I wouldn't plan to try and do any more than that, unless you're somewhere like WA, where you kind of have to drive more than that to even get anywhere, see anybody. It's massive over there.
Yeah, good questions. And safe travels too. Any other questions? No. Very good. Well, if you do and you'd rather ask us in person, we'll come down
We'll be standing in the sun
over there, yeah.
defrosting.
Us Queenslanders are frozen.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you all so much for your support.
Thank
and,
you, guys.
Yeah, we'll see you out there.
Thanks
Cheers.
so much.
Thank you.
Oh, that's a big and. For the Victorian Caravan and Camping Supershow, the biggest and best and the most exhibitors and the Adventure Zone and the Kids Zone and the RV Master Stage and lots more. And only $20. Melbourne Showgrounds, February 19 to 23. Tickets at caravanshow.com.au.